It began as an ordinary morning. The first golden rays of sunlight slipped through the edges of the window, painting soft, shifting patterns on the walls. I lay in bed a while longer, savouring the quiet and contemplating the start of a new day. As always, my husband had already left for work. His mornings were a predictable rhythm, waking early, making coffee, and leaving the house with gentle care so as not to disturb me. This unspoken ritual had become a comforting constant in our marriage. The solitude of the house brought with it a calming stillness. I valued these peaceful mornings where I could collect my thoughts before the day unfolded. While preparing breakfast, I noticed a small note left on the kitchen counter. "Have a wonderful day. I love you." I held the note for a moment, smiling at the familiar warmth it brought. These simple acts of affection had become woven into the fabric of our life together, a quiet yet profound reminder of the bond we shared. I held the note for a moment, smiling at the familiar warmth it brought. These simple acts of affection had become woven into the fabric of our life together, a quiet yet profound reminder of the bond we shared. With coffee in hand, I moved to the living room and turned on the TV. The morning news hummed in the background, filled with the usual stories and chatter. But my mind drifted elsewhere, thinking of the tasks ahead, what to cook for dinner, and tentative plans for the weekend. The sharp ring of the phone broke my reverie. On the other end was a familiar voice, belonging to one of my husband's oldest friends. He had been a constant presence in our lives, his friendship with my husband stretching back to their childhood days. Over the years, he had become more like family, our wedding's best man, and an ever-present thread in our shared story. The warmth in his voice carried through the line, filling the quiet room with a sense of connection. "Hi, are you free? I thought I'd stop by after work for a coffee, if that's all right." His warm voice carried the easy familiarity of a lifelong friendship. "Of course, why not?" I replied without hesitation. His visits always brought a natural, friendly air to the house. It felt like just another part of our routine, something comforting and expected. Yet, as the day wore on, a faint unease began to stir within me. I couldn't quite place it. Perhaps I was simply tired, or maybe it was too fleeting to warrant attention. His storytelling was soothing, wrapping the room in nostalgia. But then I noticed something. A lingering gaze that seemed to stretch a second too long. At first, I dismissed it, telling myself I was imagining things. People misinterpret moments all the time, don't they? But as the minutes passed, I couldn't ignore the subtle changes in the atmosphere. His glances grew more deliberate, and his words carried an undertone I couldn't quite define. A strange tension began to weave itself into the conversation, breaking the light-hearted ease of our reminiscing. As we moved to the living room, coffee cups in hand, the air between us felt different, charged with something unspoken. The warmth of familiarity now held an edge of discomfort, leaving me quietly unsettled. I couldn't quite describe the feeling. I wasn't brave enough to confront it openly, convincing myself it was all in my imagination. But deep down, I knew something had shifted. What had begun as a simple, ordinary day was unraveling into one of the most complex evenings of my life. We continued talking about the past, but gradually the conversation veered into more personal territory. "I haven't been getting along with my wife lately," he admitted, staring down into his coffee cup. At first, I thought he was confiding in me as a friend, a sign of the trust we had built over years. Yet there was something in his tone, a hesitation and weight that unsettled me. "You know," he said, his eyes briefly locking with mine, "it's so easy to talk to you. You're always so understanding. It makes me feel at ease." His words, though sincere, made me uncomfortable in a way I couldn't ignore. A strange unease began to swell within me. At first, I told myself he was just venting, as friends sometimes do during tough times. But as his gaze lingered and his tone softened, the meaning behind his words began to feel different. The boundaries of our conversation blurred. It was no longer about his relationship struggles or my husband. It felt as though the focus had shifted to us. "You know," he began again, his voice soft but deliberate, "I feel so lucky to have someone like you in my life." His words were accompanied by a hand on my shoulder. That touch changed everything. The unease I had been brushing aside crystallized into clear discomfort. I quickly stood up, my movements sharp and deliberate. "I think this conversation should end here," I said firmly, trying to convey my resolve through my tone. My heart raced as I held my ground, yet I could sense my determination didn't fully reach him. The evening concluded with his quiet departure, but the weight of what had transpired lingered. Alone in the living room, I tried to process everything. The once familiar space now felt foreign, marked by an experience that had left a profound imprint on me. This moment taught me something vital about boundaries. Life, I realized, is full of unexpected tests. Staying true to our values, even when the lines blur, is the key to preserving our peace and sense of self. The importance of boundaries and self-awareness in relationships. Life often presents us with moments that test our boundaries, and how we respond defines our personal growth and character. The incident described offers profound lessons about navigating complex social dynamics, staying grounded, and protecting one's peace. 1. Recognizing the signs of discomfort. One of the earliest lessons from this experience is the importance of paying attention to your intuition. Unease, even when subtle, is often a signal from your subconscious that something isn't right. Learning to recognize and trust these feelings is the first step in setting healthy boundaries. 2. The power of boundaries. Boundaries are the invisible lines that protect our emotional and mental well-being. They clarify what behavior we accept from others and help maintain mutual respect in relationships. When someone crosses those boundaries, as in this story, it's crucial to respond decisively. Polite avoidance or ambiguity can be misinterpreted, potentially complicating the situation further. 3. Staying true to your values. In moments of blurred lines or emotional tension, staying rooted in your values becomes your anchor. It's easy to get swept up in emotions or feel pressured to accommodate someone else's feelings, especially in close relationships. But being firm and respectful in upholding your values is not only an act of self-respect, but also a guide for others on how to treat you. 4. Navigating grey areas in relationships. Not all relationships are black and white. Many exist in nuanced grey areas. These spaces can be tricky to navigate as they test our perception of trust, loyalty, and communication. In these moments, clarity, both with yourself and the other person, is essential. Open communication can help address misunderstandings, but when intentions cross personal boundaries, assertiveness becomes key. Not all relationships are black and white. Many exist in nuanced grey areas. These spaces can be tricky to navigate as they test our perception of trust, loyalty, and communication. In these moments, clarity, both with yourself and the other person, is essential. Open communication can help address misunderstandings, but when intentions cross personal boundaries, assertiveness becomes key. 5. The value of reflection. After such incidents, taking time to process and reflect is vital. What made you uncomfortable? Were there early signs you missed? How can you better prepare for such situations in the future? Reflection transforms challenging moments into lessons, helping you grow stronger and wiser. Actionable takeaways for the audience. Develop self-awareness. Learn to listen to your emotions and body language. Discomfort, unease, or hesitation are cues to reassess the situation. Practice clear communication. Don't be afraid to express your feelings firmly and respectfully when someone crosses a line. Strengthen your boundaries. Define what's acceptable and what's not in all your relationships, romantic, platonic, or professional. Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it likely is. Acting on your intuition can prevent further complications.